Okay, this time I'm gonna get something done. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do High School DxD while my mom was in the other room. Hang on. Now, where was I last at? Okay. This was where I was at last. Now we're starting the next one. How far have I gotten? Page 41 of 230. Oh my god, I got a long way to go, guys. I need to start working on this more. Okay, I'm gonna leave my mic there. I don't need to have it real close. Okay, part 2. Miria Melania. Species Earth Human. Status Normal. Level 6 of 70. HP 18 of 20. I gotta get the next book, you guys, because I'm not gonna just not continue with this, obviously. MP 4 of 20. Oh, it looks like you used all her magic healing you. Attack 12 plus 5. Defense 14 plus 2. Magic 25. Agility 17. Equipment. Weapon Withered Staff F+. Armor Village Girl Dress F-. Special skills Grecian Language level 5. Magic level 2. You've got to learn the Grecian language, man, somehow. Resistance skills Normal skills Rest level 2. Fireball level 1. Title skills Novice White Mage level 2. Okay, so she's a white mage. She's a healer. The girl who saved me was named Miria. She is probably in her early 20s, but her face, short stature, and messy hair made her look much younger. She pulled my head onto her lap and stroked my cheeks. I wanted to make sure she didn't get scared and run away, so I stretched out my arms and legs to show how harmless I was and let myself rest. To be honest, the numbness had mostly passed, but I held still and even put on a decent tremble. I was afraid that if Miria decided I was well enough, she would leave. I wanted to stay like this for just a bit longer. I know it was selfish of me, but I was so lonely. Miria peered down at me and asked again if I was all right. Then she said something that could have been, "I'm sorry." I didn't understand the words, of course, but I could make a pretty good guess based on her expression and her voice. Gain special skill, Grecian language, level 1. Yay! Oh, maybe I'll be able to understand her more after a while then. Gain title... Gain title skill, Liar, level 1. Wow, like, I'm pretty thick, aren't ya? You got a terrible personality, Divine Voice. Who the heck do you think you are? Still, was it just me, or was I getting way too many title skills way too easily? Daz and Miria didn't have many title skills at all, and they had lived much longer than I had. So where were all the skills coming from? Maybe it's because you're not a human, you're like a dragon or a mythical creature or something? Maybe you get skills faster that way? Maybe? They were all pretty insulting too. Yeah, they were. Most likely it has something to do with Divine Voice, but I had no way of knowing. Miria's max level was incredibly high. Daz's max level was 45, but hers was 70. I didn't know how humans could evolve, so their potential must have a limit. I bet one day Miria's going to be way stronger than that jerk swordsman. I relaxed against her as I pondered. Suddenly I heard screams in the distance. I immediately recognized the voices of Daz and the old man. Miria froze, looking in the direction of the noise. Gently she helped me to stand and lean against a tree trunk. Daz's and Miria's stats were very different. Miria had the potential to one day outstrip him, but as of right now he was far more powerful. So if someone like Daz was screaming, no way should Miria charge him blindly. I was hanging on by a thread, so I wouldn't be much help either. I wonder if the rest skill she used on me was some kind of recovery magic. Her MP was low. I doubted she could cast it again. She used the last of her powers to heal me. If Miria ran off to help Daz and the old guy, she'd be defenseless. Her fighting ability was low, and she was too drained to use her recovery magic, and she must know that. Roar, I said. And I can't understand. Why can't they have made, if they're going to make this a new language, they ought to have wrote it in a way that we could understand what this says. Because I have no idea. Then she waved her little hand at me, her expression tense, and ran off towards the voices. I'm guessing that it means goodbye. Is what I'm guessing. Roar! I wanted to stop her, but when I tried to move, I just fell over. I guess I was still a little paralyzed. I'd assumed that the absence of pain meant I was fully recovered, but apparently not. Oh my god. I'm not doing the roaring. That is just stupid to me. I yelled after Miria. She slowed and turned back to me, her eyes narrowed with concern, but she just dipped her head and started running again. Wait! I wished I could yell. There's nothing you can do now. Roar! A noise echoed from deep in the forest, so loud that it shook the ground beneath me. It came from the same direction as Dawes and the others' shouts. Oh boy, that must be what they're fighting. Although far louder and much more menacing, it reminded me of the noises that I made when I tried to speak. I knew instinctively that the source of the voice was on an entirely different level from the dark worms and grey wolves. I couldn't let Miria go off and face it by herself. When I tried to lift my legs, the numbness was still there. None of my limbs moved how I wanted them to, and despite the recovery magic Miria had cast on me, my HP was still half depleted. That, added to paralysis, meant I'd just end up as Monster Chow if I went after her. Nevertheless, I had to do something. I stood up on my trembling legs, the pins and needles gradually wearing off with each uneasy step I took. Yeah, when you're... like, if your leg falls asleep and you get that pins and needles feeling, you just need to try and work it out and it'll go away after a bit. I could do this. I would have my mobility back by the time I got there. I took my time working my way slowly towards the source of the disturbance. Now that the paralysis was pretty much gone, I took another look at my status. Species, baby dragon. Status, paralyzed, slight. Good. Not much more. Level 20 of 25. HP 38 of 72. MP 59 of 68. Attack 61, defense 46, magic 58, ability 42, or agility 42, sorry. Rank D-. Special skills, dragon scale level 1, divine voice level 2, Grecian language level 1, resistance skills, physical resistance level 2, fall resistance level 3, hunger resistance level 2, poison resistance level 2. Good lord, man, you have so many. Loneliness skill, or loneliness resistance, what the fuck? Level 3, magic resistance level 1, normal skills, roll level 2, view status level 2, baby's breath level 2, whistle level 1, whistle? Huh? Love bite level 1, dragon punch level 2, title skills, dragon king's son level unknown, walking egg level unknown, klutz level 3, just an idiot, I still love these titles, just an idiot level 1, infighter level 3, pest killer level 1, safety first level 1, and liar level 1. Yep, half my HP was gone, and surely my enemy's stats would be far stronger than mine. But maybe if Miria, her friends, and I work together, maybe we could scare it off. Or at least get away from it. Part 3. But by the time I got there, the fight was over. Roar! The dragon let out a triumphant roar. It was gigantic. Much bigger than the humans or little old me. Probably over 5 meters tall with a long neck. Its body was rough and covered with lumpy, hardened spots that reminded me of rocks. Sword Earth Dragon? Rock Dragon? Rock Dragon, apparently. The dragon was a sort of monster that would send me running if I saw it from afar. Just the sound of its footsteps told me it was way out of my league. The 3 humans, including Miria, were on the ground by its giant feet. They were all bleeding. That is not good. I forced my focus off Miria and back to the rocky dragon. I had to check its status, then maybe I could figure out a way to deal with it. Species, little rock dragon. So, it's not a baby. So, it's probably grown up a little bit. Status, paralyzed, slight. Great. In a bad way. Level 14 of 55. HP 197 out of 212. Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time with this thing. MP 45 out of 87. Attack 168. Defense 224. There's no way you're doing anything to this thing. Magic 82. Agility 46. Rank C. Special skills, Dragon Scale level 3, Breath Boost level 1, Automatic HP Recovery level 1, Earth Type level unknown. Resistance skills, Fire Resistance level 5, Physical Resistance level 3, Magic Resistance level 2, Normal skills. Sand Breath level 4, Bite level 3, Stone Claws level 3, Regenerate level 2, Tremor level 4, Stone Breath level 6, Dragon Tail level 2. Title skills, Final Evolution level unknown. Final Evolution, not Dragon King's son. So is that something that only the main character gets? Before, I hadn't been able to get a clear look at an enemy's stats from a distance. Maybe it was because my view status skill had been too low. Probably. But now I see the dragon's stats clearly. It was 5 times bigger than me, and its stats were triple mine. Yeah, you are not doing a thing to this thing. Just making eye contact sent a wave of fear washing over me. I was trembling. I couldn't believe I actually thought the 4 of us could beat this thing. I think even at full health, everybody at full health, they might still not have a chance against this thing. Blood streaked from the dragon's rugged body, but I doubted it was his own. I didn't see any injuries. Its defense was probably too high for attacks to hit at all. So this is a little rock dragon, huh? I couldn't even imagine what a fully grown rock dragon must look like. Roar! Its roar was incredibly deep and low, with enough resonance to make the entire forest tremble. Silence hung heavily, threaded with a panicked tension. Even the insects must have all fled when they heard those fierce roars. I wish I could do the same. Run. You must... Run. Run. It's no use. The divine voice flickered in and out of my mind. Okay, that's interesting. My brain felt like... I thought it was for a second that it was Miria talking. My brain felt like it was vibrating. It was nauseating. There was nothing I could do. I had absolutely no skills that could defeat this thing. The best attack I had was Dragon Punch, but it wouldn't work against this dragon's stats. I didn't even have to try it to know that. Yeah, I have to agree. That defense by itself would have been way too much for you. A cruel hopelessness opened up inside me. The numbers didn't lie. There was no way I could win. In my estimation, I'd have to land 30 Dragon Punches with perfect accuracy right on the dragon's head to even have a chance to defeat it. That was how different our stats were. And that was assuming that each punch was full power and the dragon didn't use its regeneration skill. Most likely, I couldn't even reach its head. It was so much bigger than me. And I didn't have the MP necessary to use 30 Dragon Punches anyway. The chances of me winning were flat out 0. To make matters worse, my only allies were currently passed out cold. I'd checked their statuses, so I knew they weren't dead. Both the conditions showed unconscious and bleeding. Miria, who had protected me and smiled at me so kindly, was bleeding out on the ground with her eyes closed. But the little rock dragon was slow. Maybe I could charge in, land a single punch, and then drag the 3 humans away. I could save them. That's the only thing you're going to be able to do, is possibly try to run away with them. That was my only hope. It was a signature move I developed when I was still an egg, my one and only tactic that combined my speed with my attack power and helped me kill my first dark worm. I charged in, kicking off the ground. I still had the roll ability. I pulled in my arms and legs to form a little ball as I spun, channeling my old egg form. Seeing me approach, the little rock dragon raised its craggy tail in readiness to thwart my attack. The rough, jagged whip swung in, preparing to crush me with mass alone. I zigzagged from right to left, magnificently evading its tail. The earth split behind me, making an awful sound, but I ignored it. I had to. Right now, all my focus had to be on the little rock dragon's movements. It lifted its massive front leg, intending to crush me. I dodged out of the way. The tail swished towards me. I dodged it again and again. I just kept dodging it. I focused all my energy into evasion as I searched for a weak spot. The little rock dragon thrust its long neck towards me, opening its mouth wide. Here comes the bite attack! I'd seen it on its status screen. I knew it'd try to use it eventually. I was waiting for this moment when it stretched out its neck out close to me. I jumped up as high as I could, evading the attack by a paper-thin margin. Gain title skill, King of Evasion, level 1. Now! That's a good skill. That's a good skill to have. All the others were kind of rude. Well, some of them were. I tackled its stony face with all my strength. It threw me off. The force of it almost knocked me out of roll. I somehow managed to keep moving, scrambling away from its head. Please, it has to work. Come on and chase me. Come after me. The malice wafting off it was overwhelming. Yeah, thing is terrifying. Suddenly the ground began to rumble, or at least that's what it felt like to me. The landscape trembled and shook, kicking dust up into the air. A tree right in front of me broke off at the roots and fell towards me. It hit me hard, breaking my roll skill and slamming me to the ground. What was that? My head swam, but I forced myself to think through. It had to be the dragon's tremor skill. The little rock dragon had used its gigantic body to stomp on the earth to make it shake. If I was in this state, there was no way the other 3 were safe. They were much closer to the dragon than I was. My only comfort was that since tremor seemed to have such a wide area of effect, the power must have dispersed enough to not do too much damage. The little rock dragon began its slow walk to where I lay crumpled on the ground. Come on, come on! I tried to get up. God, my body felt heavy. The dragon's guard was down. This was my chance. I'd lie still for now and pretend I couldn't move. A little rock dragon came up beside me, big mouth open, right in my face. Then I sprang up and lasted the dragon punch with all my might, hitting it right in the teeth. Its fangs scraped my fist, and I felt the skin break, but I landed the punch nonetheless. The inside of the mouth was vulnerable, one of the few places it didn't have that rocky hide. Yeah, that's what they should have done. Roar! I retreated as the little rock dragon let out a fearsome roar, its neck swinging around widely in pain. I did that! That must have hurt, but it definitely wasn't a victory. I couldn't hope for a victory. My attack hadn't knocked much HP off at all. I ran for the nearest human, the old man. I checked his status. His HP was at 0. Not great, but I needed to check the others too. I found Dawes next. The little rock dragon's claws had gotten him. His armor was ripped apart across the chest, wounds oozing blood. His legs were pinned by a branch that must have fallen during the tremor attack. I tried to shift the branch, but it was too heavy for me to lift by myself. It hissed like steam behind me and made me turn around. Smoke billowed from the little rock dragon's mouth. I instantly knew that it was using its regeneration skill, almost undoing the little damage that had risked my life to inflict. This was ridiculous. The dragon was way too strong. I used roll to speed towards Miria, who was still unconscious some distance away. I had some trouble finding her. The tremor attack had left the ground uneven, and she'd slid partially into a depression into the dirt. As gently as I could, I took her neck in my jaw, and pulled her out. She was slightly bigger than me, but I managed to sling her over my back. Then I ran as fast as I could. I ran, the forest flashing by around me. I heard a crushing sound from behind that did not bode well for the other two humans, but I didn't turn around. Part 4. I ran through the forest with Miria on my back. The little rock dragon didn't follow us, but the grey wolves must have been drawn in by the scent of her blood. They had us in their sights. A group of at least 3. I could win if I took them head on, but I wasn't sure if I could protect Miria at the same time. I almost admit Miria. The grey wolves weren't showing themselves, but I could hear them faintly. They seemed to be biding their time. I hoped they would considering withdrawing at the sight of my stats. But it was also possible they were waiting for reinforcements or trailing me in separate groups. Grey wolves were very skilled at sniffing out others of their kind to form hunting packs. According to Divine Voice, it was a common strategy. Well, if they weren't going to attack until later, that was a problem for later. I just proceeded like they planned to leave us alone. I didn't really have a choice. I couldn't take them all on my own, and Miria's HP was dwindling by the minute. At first I thought it was just my imagination brought on my worry and anxiety, constant checking of her stats, but I was right, her HP was draining constantly. It had to be a status condition. Bleeding. And at this rate, she wouldn't last 5 more minutes. I thought I'd grown strong hunting those low-ranked monsters, but in the grand scheme of things, I was weak, worthless. After all those days of loneliness, I'd finally started to make a friend. But I couldn't even protect her. Rawr! A baby dragon's roar. Maybe it wasn't the sort of sound to strike fear in the heart of all the local monsters like the little rock dragon's roar. Maybe it would just call my enemies closer, seeking easy prey. But I couldn't help myself. I had to roar. It was the only way to ease all the terrible pent-up feelings that were swirling inside of me. I wanted to be stronger. I wanted to be able to crush that ugly rock dragon like it was a lowly worm. The more I ran, the more of Miria's warm blood I felt running down my body, her life draining away with it. Rawr! I roared again, a reckless call for help, but the only response I received was the fierce cries of monsters stronger than me and the echo of my own pathetic little voice. Gain title skill, Protective Spirit, level 1. Wow, Divine Voice, how thoughtful. Not like I can actually do anything with that. Hold on. Title skills must have some kind of effect. Walking Egg kept giving me experience points. It was called a skill, so it must have an ability attached, so maybe I could do something with it. Hey, Divine Voice, are you listening to me? Special skill, Divine Voice, level 2, is unable to provide that explanation. Come on, don't mess around. Someone's life is on the line. Special skill, Divine Voice, level 2, is unable to provide that explanation. You gotta be kidding me. You're the one who kept forcing these messages into my head saying, get stronger and run. Listen, I don't know who you are, but I've got a feeling you're not as neutral as you pretend to be. You've been watching and ridiculing me this whole time, so suck it up and answer me. There's no time left. Special skill, Divine Voice, level 2, is unable to provide that explanation. The same answer over and over again. The feeling of throwing a ball against a wall returned, repetitive and futile, every word mysterious and inscrutable. The Divine Voice was useless, so what should I do? How could I save Miria? I racked my brain, poring over every detail of the system controlling me. I had an idea. When I pushed hard to understand what the humans were saying, I gained a special skill called Grecian language. I had that skill now. But I hadn't made any progress with it beyond that. I couldn't use the language. I'd been thinking about the system all wrong. Every time a new skill appeared, I wasn't gaining a new ability I could use. Instead, the skills reflected things I could already do. The world wasn't bound to the numbers. My status screen or whatever it was didn't create reality or make things happen. It just read the state of the world and put it in numerical form. I was sure there were still elements I didn't understand. This was only a theory after all. But it made a whole lot more sense than the alternative. In other words, skills didn't just miraculously appear out of nowhere. Instead, skills were expressions of physical feats and capabilities. So if I practiced and worked hard at it, I should be able to use recovery magic. I could even do it now, however crude and low level. So yeah, essentially you work hard at learning something, you get the skill for it. That's what all those skills were, but the title skills, I'm not sure. Regular skills, yes. And the resistance is the same thing. I lowered Miria off my back and laid her gently on the ground. I thought back to when she used magic on me. The light, the warmth, the sensation. According to her status screen, her recovery magic was called Rest. I focused on the word rest on my mind, trying to visualize the effects of the spell, and shattered it in my head. Rest. Rest. It's not working. Nothing's happening. Rest, 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 rest. Something was happening. Rest, 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 rest. A sudden, intense fatigue swept through my brain. Fatigue? Just from thinking about something? If my MP was draining, did that mean the magic was working? Okay, I'm not even going to repeat all that. It's just rest repeatedly, essentially. After repeating it dozens of times, a light appeared, healing Miria's wounds just the slightest bit. I did it! I kept repeating rest for so long as my stamina held out. I started panting and I could feel my limit approaching. Checking my stats, I saw that my MP had dropped to 0. I checked Miria's. Her HP was just a little higher than it had been. That's it? I used up all my MP and that's all I did? Well, at least the negative status effect bleeding disappeared. She should survive now. Title skill, Protective Spirit, level 1, has become level 3. Dang, it went up 2 whole levels. I don't care about title skills, just give me the rest ability. My spell only had about the 5th of the power that Miria's did, but at least she wouldn't bleed to death now. Still, Miria's low health made me nervous. I needed to take her somewhere safe. My only choice was to leave the forest and search for the human village. When Miria and the others had found me, their HP and MP were fine, and they hadn't seemed tired. That must mean their village was nearby. I searched for signs of where they come from as best I could and ran as fast as my legs could move in that direction. Let's see, hang on. How far have I gotten? Thank you. How far have I gotten? I'll read a little more. Part 5. 2 gray wolves were following me. They'd finally shown themselves, clearly choosing a fight over retreat. They must have spent a while observing me and decided they'd stood a good chance. They closed in and then retreated over and over, staying just out of range. One was level 7, the other level 8. I could take the 2 of them with no problem, even with Miriam on my back. If any others came to join in on the fun, though... I knew it. Those 2 were just decoys. The pack had purposely sent the 2 smallest wolves to draw my attention. They would wait for me to take the bait, and as soon as I slowed my pace to attack, the 3 hiding nearby would charge. The Grey Wolves' standard tactic. Normally, I could take on 5 of them easily. I was totally confident I could destroy an entire pack of Grey Wolves. However, you have Miria to deal with. But yeah, I had Miria on my back. The only choice was to run. Ah, stop following me, you stupid stalker wolves! I sped up hoping to shake them, but they were stubborn. I didn't have much stamina left, not after a high-level dragon handed me my ass. And I taught myself recovery magic by brute force, using it until my MP was completely drained. I decided normally losing them would be easy, but I pushed that thought out of my mind. I wasn't going to accomplish anything by whining about it. The wolves began to howl. They must have realized I wasn't taking the bait, or maybe they'd have noticed my injured state. They gave up on their ambush and sprinted towards me all together, their leader in front. There were 5 of them, just as I had suspected. The vanguards were level 7 and level 8. Fine, I could defeat them with little to no damage. The 2 flanking the head wolf were level 10 and level 11. It's peak condition. I could take them down easily. From that, even now, they probably couldn't beat me. But they'd wear me down enough that other monsters could take advantage and pick me off. The final wolf was the real problem. Blech. It was level 15. I'd never seen such a high-level Grey Wolf before. Even if my stats were at full power, would have to make a tactical retreat before fighting it. Near the point of collapse, I knew I was in trouble. This was not a fight I wanted to have. Just leave me alone! I ran as fast as I could, but they were closing in. The head wolf could really move. Its agility was on par with mine and had a title skill called Forest Hunter. It was probably a big shot in the wolf world. The wolf world, not Fortunately, there was quite a gap between it and the smaller wolves. It was a risk, but if I could get the head wolf alone, I thought I might be able to take it on while still protecting Miria. If I just picked off the little ones, the leader would fly into a rage, but if I got rid of the leader, the others would run away. If I couldn't outrun them, then that would have to be my strategy. I wanted to give myself an edge with my breath attack, but I didn't have any MP. It would have to be hand-to-hand combat. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried about protecting Miria. I couldn't outrun the wolves, so putting off a fight would only delay the inevitable. I needed to attack. The little rock dragon had let me off comparably easily, but I was pretty confident in saying I hadn't yet been in a situation this dire. I sped up trying to build some distance between the leader of the pack and the other wolves. I needed it alone to have a chance. Or have a chance. I held out hope that I could still lose them, but no luck. Fine, I expected that. Slowing abruptly, I leaped up onto a nearby tree branch, digging in my claws to readjust my momentum. There was the pack leader, temporarily bewildered by my sudden leap into the trees. I used that split second of confusion to my advantage, jumping from the branch and right onto the wolf's head. I can't even make the noises. I would insert a sound effect if I can. If I do, good. I bit into the back of his vulnerable neck with as much force as I could muster. The other wolves ran up. I snarled and pushed the leader away, maneuvering myself into a turn without losing momentum. And then I started running again. Everything went according to plan, save for one little detail. The head wolf wasn't dead. Of course. If I'd stuck around to finish the job, I would have been wide open for the little wolf's counterattack. I missed my shot. My exhaustion must have weakened my attack. God, I haven't even knocked it unconscious. It was awakened, spitting with rage, springing to its feet and glaring at me with crimson eyes. The little wolf circled their leader worriedly, but it just knocked them away and came at me even faster than before. Oh, great. Now you're really in a pickle. Its claws tore at the ground as it completely ignored its draining stamina and charged me. Faster and faster. It still had more than a fourth of its HP left, and the status condition Fury. I sprinted to put distance between us, but it kept up easily. What should I do? Should I attack again? Up until now I had the advantage of pretending to run away. If I turned to fight, there was no guarantee I could get the first strike. Plus, the wolf was in fury mode, making its movements erratic and unpredictable. Even one hit could be bad for me and for Miria. None of us had HP to spare. If only I had enough MP for a baby's breath, but there was no sore sense in belly aching. I was worse off than I was when the fight started, but I still had to do something. One more attack. Come on. One more and I was sure I could kill it. I shot a quick glance behind me at the head wolf. Then I returned my focus forward, trying to map out the lay of the land and running the simulation. Judging by the terrain, the position of the trees, yeah, I could do it again. The same trick, I could defeat the wolf. I don't think it's gonna let you do that same attack twice. I leaped into a tree, using my hind legs to maneuver in the air, but Miria's weight on my back messed with my center of gravity, and I lost my balance, pitching backward. Not good, not good. The wolf came at me with an angled claw attack, digging into my chest and tearing all the way down into my belly. Or down towards my belly. I almost dropped Miria, but I shook my hips and hitched her back into position. Another attack came, punishment for taking my attention off the enemy. The wolf brandished its other claw. Grrr. I thrust my shoulder forward to take the brunt, but the gash was deep. The second fastest wolf caught up to us, flanking me from behind. It charged, attacking from my blind spot. Luckily, it missed Miria, but it didn't miss my stomach, which took severe damage. This poor guy. I couldn't waste any more time, and now it was impossible for me to fight with Miria on my back. I threw her off onto the ground. The impact would be rough for her in the state she was in, but I needed the freedom of movement. Now that I was lighter, I evaded the attacks that came at me from the front, punching the pack leader in the nose as hard as I could. He slammed to the ground, skidded over the forest floor, and collapsed. I checked to make sure his HP was 0. Yep, down for the good. Gained 60 experience points. Title skill, Walking Egg, level unknown, activated, gained 60 experience points. Baby Dragon, level 20, has become level 22. That was rough. Why couldn't my HP fully recover after I leveled up like a video game? This world sucked. Yeah, it does. It does a lot. I wanted to give Divine Voice the finger, but I couldn't lift my arm. One of the smaller wolves pounced on me from behind and bit into my shoulder. I shook it off and kicked it away, picking Miria up and putting her on my back again. Then I took off running. They should have gotten scared and fled after I defeated their leader, but either they could sense how weak I was, or they were underestimating me after getting a good bite in. Whatever the case, they still followed. The world faded in and out. My head hurt, my wounds throbbed, my HP was so low. The bite on my shoulder stung, my legs grew heavier and heavier. Grrr. The closest wolf swiped its claws towards my back. I twisted to protect Miria from the blow, taking it myself. I couldn't endure this for long. For a split second, it felt like I was on the edge of unconsciousness. And my enemies weren't kind enough to overlook the opening I just gave them. From behind me came the sound of rending flesh. Was I dead? Strangely, there was no pain. Maybe that's what death felt like, but I could still move. And what was that I felt on under my back? I shook my head, trying to think straight. Then I realized what had happened. It wasn't my flesh that split open. It was Miria's. Her HP was even lower, and she had the negative status effect, bleeding again. I'd worked so hard to save her life, and now it was in danger again. My mind went completely blank. I howled. The remaining 4 wolves must have sensed my rage because they cowered and backed away. Status condition: Fury. Oh, dear. These wolves are in trouble now. He's pissed off. And you don't piss off the main character. I'll see you guys in the next part.